Hi, I'd like to welcome you to Sumaya Unveiled. Today, we have an amazing guest. He's actually hilarious, and there's so much to him. There's so much that he has on the inside. It's comedy, it's motivation, it's inspiration. He's very wise. And so I'm super excited to uncover and unveil Barry Brewer. Barry, it is so nice to have you here today. Yes.
I like it. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a joy. So I know that comedy is definitely your calling, your purpose, your passion among, I believe, many things. But what I would like to kind of dig a little bit deeper and just pull it back just a little bit and go into some of the early years. Where did you discover comedy in your life, and how did you move into the career of comedy today to become a comedian?
For sure. I just love to laugh.
Hmm.
Growing up, watching all the hit TV shows like Martin and Jamie Foxx and hilarious movies. I love to laugh. I remember my grandma just said, "You just always, you're just silly. You always laughing." Like, I just remember loving to laugh and loving to like smile and looking to people like Martin, not knowing I was,
Hmm.
aspiring to be that, but just loving how he made me feel watching his show and Jamie Foxx and how they made me feel. And my mom used to work for HBO for like their sales department, and she brought home a movie called Cherokee Kid that starred Sinbad, and
Hmm.
seeing him on a different world and seeing him in House Guest and all of these different movies and things and just really laughing. And so early on I just really had a desire and a strong love for laughing, not
Hmm.
knowing that I would be a person to be gifted to make people laugh. And when I turned 19, I was playing the drums for this community choir, and this gentleman was like, "Man, you're really funny. You should do some stand-up comedy at the concert, at this church concert." And it was something I had thought about, but it's like, how do you actually do that? Man, I just you have sometimes it comes from other people kind of giving you a confirmation that maybe what you're feeling is something that's inside of you. And so I was like, all right, I'll try it. And I got a standing ovation my first time. And
Wow.
I always tell people it was like I found something I didn't know I was looking for,
Mhm.
and it was such a blessing, and it's been such a blessing, and it's been a dream and a concept of looking at like people's career, like the Martin Lawrences and Eddie
Mhm.
Murphys and Sinbads of the world, that I've been after ever since I discovered that I had the gift. So
That's
that's how it
awesome.
started. That's how it's going.
Mhm. You know, it's funny that you would say Martin Lawrence because I remember this was a long time ago. Martin Lawrence was on the Arsenio Hall show, who is also another amazing comedian. And I remember at the time I was a child. I did not have any desire to grow up and eventually become a teacher. But I remember him saying that he was so funny in school that his teacher made a deal with him that if you just be good and just sit down and behave in class, I'll give you the last 5 minutes to stand up in front of the class and, and make them laugh. And so I thought that as a kid, I was like, that's brilliant. Fast forward to the future, I eventually became a teacher, no longer teaching, but I had several funny students like that, like you. And I did that same bargain look because they were so funny and they would make me laugh. Like, even though I'm like being professional, they sometimes they would say something that was funny. And so, and it also helps with building like a classroom community because you don't have students, you want students to learn from you, but they have to know you and they have to understand that you're not a robot, you're human, you have feelings and emotions, but still be able to lead. And so I was
Right.
able to just really connect with my students through humor. And so you saying that, just I could picture little Barry. Did you have moments where did your comedy kind of spill out into the classroom, or what was that like?
It did spill out for sure. I guess I could be considered the class clown. I just saw one of
Hmm.
my teachers, my English teacher from high school, came to my show last week, and she's
Hmm.
retiring. And so she was like, "Yeah, I used to have to sing you down." And so yeah, I used to just say witty stuff and out the blue, and like when it gets quiet, find my moments. So yeah, I definitely did that. No one gave me no time at the end of class. That was an amazing move by that teacher for sure,
Hmm.
uh, and Martin's teacher. But
Yes.
I think you're just unaware of just. I'm glad that we're more knowing of like, oh, this is a talent and a gift, and not
Hmm.
somebody that's just being disruptive and You know what I mean? Like you
Mhm.
can see that this thing turns into something very valuable inside of people. So I'm glad to know that's why I was doing that and not because I was just this rude kid that just couldn't get it together.
Thank goodness we still. So I kind of want to go back to when I first met you, which was a few years ago. I think I went to go see Molly Music, and at the time I did not know who you were, but I knew you were going to be there, and it was a VIP. And I went to go hear him sing and perform as a fan, and I was like, "Oh, I get to meet Molly Music," and you were there, and I'm like, "Oh, he's really cool. He's hilarious. Who is he?" So
Thank you.
after that, I started to just see you everywhere. But I think one time I was on think on IG and IG Live, and I was at one of my dad's events. I was live streaming, and you were like, "Oh, I love Les Brown." I'm like, "Well, are you in California? Like, hey, show up." Like, I think it was either was it California or Atlanta? I don't
All right.
remember.
No, it
It
was
was
LA.
it was
Yep.
LA. Okay, yeah, because I
You
was
said
living
that
there
you
for a
saw it.
while,
Yeah.
and then I was able to just meet you, and you were just so cool. But what I didn't realize was there's also, and I know you don't necessarily claim to be a motivational speaker, but there's also a motivational component to you. So it was super cool just to see you guys kind of get together. And my dad just literally adored you,
One
and
of the
just,
moments of my life that I'm so grateful for.
yeah.
Let me just say thank you so much for that. It's been such a meaningful moment in my life. I
Hmm.
refer to the pictures always. Your dad said he will write the forward to my book that I never
Yes.
thought I didn't even have a book. He's like, you're right.
Wow.
And you doing that for me was just a
Let me
life.
know when you get it, not to cut you off, so that we can make sure that that's taken care of. Okay,
I
we got
will
you.
for sure. I'm just so, it was an honor. I was introduced to Les Brown by my pastor, Hosea Collins,
Mm,
and he's like a mentor to me. And
mhm,
I never knew, of motivational. He introduced me to Les Brown. He introduced me to Miles Monroe, who are two
mm.
people I
Wow.
frequently watch. And
Mhm.
your dad, Les Brown, told me a story about him and Miles on a
Yeah.
plane together. It was a surreal moment that I'll never forget. It was so inspirational. It really spoke into my life.
Mhm.
And he told me how much he is like wanted to do comedy himself, and he's very funny. Um, but it's just one of those moments. I just wanted to tell you thank you for that opportunity, and I really, really, really appreciate that. I just want to tell you thank you right now because that was just such a moment that I'll never forget. That I always pull on, and that when I'm going through the inspiration of knowing, because being a motivational speaker to me, and as you say, I don't claim to be a motivational speaker, but I guess I am because
Mhm,
I want to inspire. Like I've been through something in my life, and I always try to say it's just me trying to encourage people as I am learning and going
mhm,
through, right? If
mhm.
you're going down a path or a road and I see that there's a dead end and I'm turning around, coming the other way, and you're still going, I just feel led to always try to help and guide people to say, hey,
Mhm,
this is what's at that road. So I'm not smarter than you, or,
mhm,
I just care to help you guide you along a path that I may have found that wasn't fruitful or, progressive, to hopefully share and enlighten and encourage and inspire you so that maybe some of the hurdles that I had to fall through or stumble on that you don't
mm.
have to. You know what I mean? And that's how I
Yes.
see motivational speaking, to inspire and encourage people. And growing up in church and being somebody who looks to, at God and Christ and as a
Mhm,
follower, it's just like sometimes that's the inspiration that people will only
mhm.
see because they don't go to church. Like,
Yes.
when we talk about forgiveness, when we talk
Mhm.
about, how you handle life's issues, because life has a way of just trying to beat you up
Yeah.
constantly, trying to jade you and all of these things. And how do you overcome that? How do you stay inspired? How do you stay hopeful? How do you stay
Mhm.
encouraged to keep going? And so I think motivational speaking is those things that, and I'm so grateful for the internet because
Yeah.
these moments, even what you're doing now, somebody may be hearing it and it changes the trajectory of their life because they
Mhm.
watched your video or they heard your dad or they heard someone else, So I just am grateful for that because it doesn't always come in the form of a message or a sermon at church, but it can come into in a podcast or
Mhm.
uh, on a podium speaking about leadership or whatever the case may be. It can
Mhm.
just change someone's life when they were maybe headed down the wrong path or on the verge of suicide, and knowing that
Yes.
life is worth living, life is worth continuing to try. And even though you have all the odds stacked against you, it won't always be like this.
Yes. Yes.
There's a brighter day ahead. That
Yes.
storm don't last always. Trouble
Mhm.
don't last
Mhm.
always. And so
Mhm.
it's not just a cliche, but it's real. It's
It's
true.
real.
And I hope that I can encourage and tell people that I've been in those moments, and I can tell you that there's a brighter day ahead. So I love that I think that's my life purpose,
Yeah.
person, like,
Yeah.
is to inspire and encourage, and my talents are just conduits, or like mediums to do that, to
Mhm.
inspire and
Mhm.
encourage you through comedy, through
Yeah.
music,
Yeah.
through film, you know what I mean? So
Mhm.
that's my thoughts.
Mhm. Yeah, you are definitely authentic and genuine from the very first time I had an opportunity to meet you, and not like we're super close, but over the years have been able to keep in touch, and you're the same person. And again, I always observe people without like being weird about it, but I always like to see just how people move. And you seem to be very consistent with people. Like when I saw you interact at that event, when I first actually had the privilege of meeting you and hearing you do comedy, I was like, oh, he's really cool. Like, he's just a cool person, just one of those people that's just kind of cheerful and naturally friendly. You don't have an air about you, and neither did Molly either. But just I really greatly appreciate who you are, because I feel like when you have people that have a talent, but then you get up close and you meet them and you're like, oh, I could have been fine. Just never
That's
ever
right.
encountering you. And not that people don't have bad days, because they do, and we need to give people grace because they could be having like a rough day, and that's different. A first encounter, you don't know them. But I just want to celebrate you for just being so real, so authentic, and
Thank
for
you.
your passion, for your heart for people, and obviously for God. And again, understanding that yes, God can speak through church and he can speak through a sermon, but he can also speak through on a comedy stage while you're laughing. There might be something that's slid in there that or even just the laughter itself that is therapeutic and allows people to heal, and they didn't realize, oh man, I really needed that laugh, like I needed to get that out. Also just your heart for motivation, which I still want to dig into more, because you mentioned that there are some things that you overcame to motivate you and to push you to where you are today. And so my first question is, if there's anything that you feel comfortable sharing from your maybe your childhood or teenage years or whatever that led you, that where it was kind of like you needed to be motivated, and how did that happen? Did you motivate yourself? Did somebody motivate you? Like what happened to get you out of where you were to where we see you now?
Thank you for asking that. Yeah, I think something innate for sure. I grew up where my mother drunk and did drugs, and it was just
Mhm.
a very I've never drunk or smoked today for that reason,
Mhm.
because I've seen the worst of it. But
Mhm.
something my mom did say and encouraged me. I just had a belief that I could do whatever I believed that I could do.
Mhm.
I wanted to go to the NBA when I was younger, and my mom used to say, "You gonna have an NBA? You gonna all right? You gonna have NBA?" That's how she used to say it.
Yeah.
Um, and at some point, I stopped believing that I could go to the NBA.
Mhm.
So obviously, I didn't continue to try.
Mhm.
But then once I saw I had this gift, because I didn't know how gifted I was, I didn't know I had all these
Mm.
talents, because I kind of found my talents a little later in life. And I think I always felt as a kid that I was overlooked and not
Mhm.
considered or attended to, or was special at all. I felt like I
Mhm.
was like the kid nobody thought would be anything, right?
Mm.
I think I think people, if they would be honest, they would say that, right? Like,
Mhm.
nobody suspected that you to be the one to stand out.
Mm.
And I say all that to say, once I found out I had this gift, I then had this, what they call crazy faith, this
Mm.
childlike belief that I could be this great actor comedian. And
Yeah, yeah.
I'm crazy enough to believe it. And as I kept believing, things have been unveiling and coming to pass.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it's like, oh, shoot, this is real. And it's because I believed. And so
Mm.
I tell people all the time, my talent is that I believe. So the things I overcame was just more so like being insecure about
Mhm.
myself, you know, believing in myself. I'm much more. I am very confident
Mhm.
today than I've ever been.
Mhm.
Uh, I say it often. People might take it even as arrogance.
Mhm.
I'm not arrogant. I don't think I'm better than anyone. I just think
Mhm.
I bring value,
Yes.
you know, um,
Mhm.
because I care, because I'm
Yes.
genuine, because I try to be, and I'm not perfect, but I try to be as authentic as I can,
Absolutely.
with any and everybody as much as I can be. Obviously, people sometimes use that against you,
Mhm.
but um, yeah, so I've overcame a lot, and I think just like I said, being overlooked, being I feel like always the underdog, even as I
Mhm.
journey this career, like
Mhm.
it's a constant reminding myself and a constant believing in myself, and it's a constant, like, even if nobody's cheering you on, like you got to be your own cheerleader and believe in what
Yes.
you're capable of. And so I encourage that. So that's why I talk in motivation. My motivational place is always from an underdog place, because
Mm.
that's the people I speak to. I speak to the people that feel left out or
Yes.
overlooked, or that they don't have what it takes, and everybody's like, no, that's the one. And you, not that you're hating on that person, but you be like, man, I got I could do stuff too. I'm good too, right?
Mhm.
And it's like, you don't need the cheering of them. You believe it and start showing it. And
Yes.
those people that's meant to be your audience will show up to say, I'm here to see you, you
Mm.
know. And so uh it's a constant growing, it's a constant developing, it's a constant thing. So as I grow, I love to share about that kid that was an underdog, that grown man that's an underdog, that
Mm.
kid that didn't know who he was, that grown man that's still finding out more about himself, all of these
Yes.
different factors. And I'm communicating and encouraging the world in my motivation as I discover that, right? Even
Mhm.
in my mistakes, even in my darkest moments, like I
Yes.
want to speak to those and encourage people, because there's people that's made mistakes and they can't pull themselves out because they're like, I'm really messed up. And it's like, it's okay that you messed up. I don't care how bad the mistake was. The fact that you have life in you and you still have a day, you can be better. You're not your mistake. I don't care what it is. I don't care what you did. It could be the worst thing ever.
Mhm.
You can be different today and moving forward. And people will always try to hold you in and say that's who you are. But if you strong enough in your mental and in your understanding that my mistake is not who I am, right? Because people, if they find out something about you, they'll
Mhm.
try to use that and hold it over their head as though they're perfect. And when you understand that nobody's perfect, then you don't feel like somebody can ever hold anything over your head, because nobody's perfect. So it's not my mistake, it's how I move from my mistake. How did I learn from my mistake? How did I pivot from that? Did I do better? Did I keep falling on that same thing? Like, this is what's important. But we'll
Yes.
make other things important, because this is the things that keeps us stagnant and emotional and depressed, and
Mhm.
just not moving in our lives. And so I like to talk about those things because this is how I'm functioning, and I believe it's helpful. So I want to share it with the world. So
Oh my gosh. I can feel the passion and I'm so inspired by it. I hear just some recurring themes popping up as you are speaking, and it literally speaks to the people I believe that you are sent to reach and empower. When you talk about like the underdog, and you said, I just have a heart for that. I have a passion for that. I was an underdog. And then you talk about how you had confidence, and you understood that confidence is not pride. So there was a shift from being the underdog and sometimes maybe still in present tense feeling at times like the underdog, but then having that confidence to rise up on the inside and say, no, actually, I have value. Oftentimes, underdogs don't get that encouragement. They don't get anybody to tell them that. I saw that even in the classroom, that you could tell who they were because they were always usually the quiet ones, the ones that maybe had the hoodie on with the, listening to their music just a little bit removed, and they have all this talent, like just power packed on the inside of them, like it's
yes,
just waiting to just explode, but they don't know. They have a desire to make a difference, but they don't know what it is, and they need somebody like you to say, look, I see you, I see what you're doing, I see that there's something inside of you that you haven't even begun to do, but you have to start with a belief. Like you said, it starts with a belief, it starts with that awareness and that understanding that you are here for a reason. There's something
yes,
in you that the world needs. I think one of the biggest tricks or schemes of life sometimes that kind of sneaks in is when you get to a certain plateau and you don't you don't get like the accolades or the success of what people say, then it
Yes.
goes back to that. It's like you get sucked back into that underdog mentality again. It's because I'm the underdog, it's because I'm this. But I think that's where we have to lean into that awareness that our gifts and talents are for the world, but we don't do it for them. We have a bigger purpose than that. If we can just be faithful in what our gift or our talent is, and if it's to make people laugh, or it's to do this, or it's to do that, or if it's to motivate them, then in time other people would begin to, because I feel like it's something that all of us deal with. You know what I mean? Like recently I had to
Yes.
tell myself, like, stop looking at how many subscribers you don't have, or how many likes you don't have, or
So
how
good.
many, you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
you have to tell yourself that, because we live in a society that tells you that your value is based on popularity. So
Wow.
what
Yeah.
would you say to someone who's watching, who goes, "Oh my gosh, this guy is me. This man is me and I am him. I see myself in him. I'm the under he's talking to me. I'm the underdog. I grew up in the same situation with my parents or my family. I grew up with the same understanding, and I don't have confidence, but I want to get to where he is, and maybe not like I'm trying to imitate his success, but I want to get into the understanding that I have value." I know that you've already spoken, but I'm just going to ask you to say
Yeah.
something again to people who are watching.
Oh my God. I think that how you build your confidence is really trying, giving yourself a chance to go and try it,
Mm,
right? Go and try it, right? Like, I'll say this, and it doesn't mean you'll be successful the first time, but a belief is something that is not tangible until you start to work it, right? To be great at anything, right? If you got greatness in you and you like, I'm this, like, go and put the work in,
yes.
and the work will give you more confidence that you're capable of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
once you work that thing, and I let's just say you want to be a writer, you want to write books, and you
Mm-hmm.
feel like you have great stories. So, but I don't, okay, well, let me go study some great writers. Let me understand what format of writing and what
Mm-hmm.
made that book a great book. Da 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 da. Okay, once I get all this information, like, let me try and finish my first book. I don't know how to publish online, but let me just write it, type it out, write it out. And I
Yes.
got a book. And at that point, you're gonna find a way to, oh, I can get it printed this way. Okay, da da da. And then maybe somebody reads it. Maybe one person like, oh my God, this is really good. That starts to feed into that confidence. Say,
Mm-hmm.
you think that's good? Bro, this is good. Girl, this is good.
Yes.
Really? I should do it again, huh? Huh. Oh, this is good. Man, this is good, huh? Da, da, da. And that confidence starts to build.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm meant for this. I, I could do this. I could be the best at this thing.
Mm,
I could be one of the greats.
mm-hmm.
I didn't even know. When I started doing comedy, I just like making people laugh. And the more I started working my craft and practicing it, I was like, I got the talent to be one of the greatest to ever do this.
Yes. Yes.
And what I learned is to be the greatest is just me working.
Mm.
Do you understand it? Like,
Yeah.
you can not have a gift in something, but if you work your butt off, you could be one of the greats.
Mm-hmm.
You know something I learned? People that are great, sometimes, most of the times, the people that have longevity in a thing had a talent, but their work ethic is what really like got them to that
Mm.
place.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people in very high positions are people that had a strong work ethic, and sometimes they weren't the most talented. They weren't the special ones. They were the people that were willing to do whatever it took to get to where they needed to go.
Mm.
And it's more of the talented people that sit back like, my talent's gonna get me there.
Yep.
It's like work ethic. If you got some talent, you may sustain longer. But if you don't got work ethic, that's where greatness comes from. That's where confidence comes from, right?
Mm.
Like, because confidence is a feeling to believe, and sometimes you have to do the thing and work the thing and get better at the thing for people to then second, oh, that is good,
Mm-hmm.
and it encourages you because you don't want to be delusional either,
Right.
right? You don't have false confidence. You want
Or
to know that something is what it is
mm.
because your results will be because like people that believe they're good. and they do
Mhm.
something, they get the results because their belief is true. So
Mhm.
without the work ethic, you're just having false confidence. People like, yeah, I'm this, I'm that, but they ain't putting the work in. You just that's false. That you're not really that. You're not.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
so. Anyway, I to what I would simply say to that individual is just whatever the thing is, whatever you feel that you're meant to be, or even you don't know, you just believe you're great. You
Mhm.
believe that you're special. You believe that you're unique, and you maybe haven't even scratched the surface of what that is.
Mhm.
My words would be try whatever. Go
Mhm.
start to try it. Just but I don't know where to start. I don't care. Start wherever.
Mhm.
What do you like to do? I like to I like to paint. Okay, let's try to paint a sculpture. Let's try to paint a painting. I like to
Ooh.
write a little bit. Let's write a poem. Let's
Mhm.
whatever it is. Start to do something in that area and finish it
Mm.
and do it again. And
Mm.
maybe that ain't the thing. Okay, let's move on to something else. I finished that though. I didn't just half do it. If it was, I'd start writing something. I finished it. I finished it. I got constructive criticism. I seen if it was something there. Okay, okay, I'm gonna move on to something else. But me moving on to something else means I have this that's finished that I can say, hey, I tried this and I sat with it and I finished it, and I come to feel or see that this maybe is not my thing, but I'm still able to sit that on the shelf to know that I finished that thing though. I
Yeah.
saw it all the way through. So I didn't because sometimes we say, oh, I wasn't meant for that because I thought I gave it a look, I gave it a try. Did you finish it? Did you really see it all the way through? Do you know Richard Pryor first stand up he wasn't good?
Wow. That's crazy.
Most people, Michael Jordan didn't make his sophomore basketball team. Tom Brady was picked 199, the sixth pick. I mean the sixth what's it? Sixth round.
Mhm.
So the first round went, second round went, the third round went, the fourth round went, the fifth round went, the sixth round went.
Wow.
He was 199. These are people that's the greatest in their field.
Yes.
So what does that say to me? That says that greatness doesn't always look like greatness from the start. You are great, but you just don't know it, and your work ethic will prove it to you. So you have to work at that thing. So people that don't know and insecure, unconfident in things, I want you to start putting the work in whatever specific area, and that's going to help with your confidence, and that's going to help you start to see how great you are or how great you can be if you continue down that road.
Mm. Oh my gosh. Barry Brewer, and I tell you that you are a comedian and you are a motivational speaker, you are, okay? And you remind me of two people. I told you before the call that you remind me of my younger brother, John Leslie. You remind me so much of him. It's actually scary. And there's just something about like what you give off. And
Thank you.
that's a high compliment. The
I,
other person that you remind me of is another, he's a really close friend of mine, a brother to me as well. His name is Zenith Milton. And I told him, I said, Zenith, you have a drive in you and a passion for motivation that's like my dad's. Like I see it in you. Like you just need, all you need is a microphone and to be on stage and to speak and to let people hear. And I was able to hear his first motivational message and he killed it. And I said, oh my God, I said, I literally, my dad's going to have to watch out. Like he's going to have to watch out for Zenith. I will say to you that you are, you were put here for so many different talents and reasons and gifts, and obviously it's comedy, obviously it's motivation. I hope that you continue your motivational talks that you do. I remember I saw something where you were doing motivational Mondays. I need to check in to see if you're still doing those. If you are,
I'm getting
listen,
back into it.
I will be plugged in watching because you are, I mean, obviously the comedy is a given. Obviously, I'm going to be watching that. But with motivation just like does something to me. You know what I mean? For obvious reasons. And so I need you to continue both things, and anything else that is on your heart to do, do it, because you have motivated me in this in a way that you don't even realize. And I know people are watching and they didn't even expect to get
Wow.
what they got today from this, not because they didn't expect it from you, but they didn't expect to be motivated the way that they were. So do not keep your mouth closed.
I appreciate
Regardless
that.
of the
It's so
season
hard.
that you're in, keep
I,
talking.
I receive
Okay?
that. I really receive that. Thank you so much for
Yeah,
that. It's
thank you.
so important to hear. Trust. So
Yes.
thank you so much. And I pray it's this old gospel song that I really love, and it makes me emotional when I hear it. But it says, "If I can help somebody as I pass along, then my living won't be in vain."
Mm-hmm.
And that's my prayer. My prayer is that when my life is over,
Mm-hmm.
my prayer is that when my life is over, that I did just that. That
Yes.
my living wasn't in vain. That I was intentional. That I left there here empty. That I gave all that I needed to give. That I was meaningful in all that I did. And so that is the prayer and hope for myself. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that because I never want to come across like, because sometimes when you do motivation, I know we're closing out, but
No,
when you
you're
do
fine.
motivation, I'm always thinking about the people like, the judgy, and it's like I don't ever want to talk like I'm here and somebody's there.
Mm-hmm.
I can't see that.
Yep.
Yeah. But
Yes.
it's like, no, we're both going down the same
Yes,
path.
we are.
And I
Yes.
learned something you get what I'm saying? You ever been in line? It's a buffet or something, and something transpires. Oh, just so you know, they gonna bring some more of that out, or don't eat
Mm.
that. I saw a fly sit on that. That don't touch that. That's nasty. That
Yes.
you're informing them so that they can be better off. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Mm-hmm.
how I see motivation. It's not like I'm talking down at you. I'm just trying to open your perspective up. And the one thing I'll say lastly that I really want to say is that what I've learned in life is truly about principles and perspective
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and purpose. Is that
Yes.
all peace?
My dad would love that. Wait till he sees this.
Principles,
Yes.
perspective, and purpose.
Uh-huh.
Wow. Yeah.
Alliteration. It's beautiful.
Wow. That sums life up. Principles,
Yeah.
perspective, and purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Principles are are foundational things that can really help you in every situation. Right? I tell
Mm-hmm.
my son we work on our principles: attitude, focus, effort, and consistency. There's more
Mm-hmm.
principles like patience and other
Mm-hmm.
principles that matter, but right now I've been focused on his attitude, his focus, his effort, and being consistent in all those things. And I think that can help him. And I try to show him in everything, whether it be basketball or school or at
Mm-hmm.
home or chores, where your attitude or your focus or your effort or your consistency
Mm-hmm.
is affecting you from getting to where you want to go. And I'm learning that life is that. But sometimes people don't have the perspective to see outside of their emotional state or their feeling or even however their perspective has been shaped from their experiences, their childhood, their where they grew up, how they grew up, the people that kind of nurtured them and kind of helped them mold their perspective. But I try to look at life in the broadest perspective because I want to see it outside of myself so that
Mm.
I'm intentional with my actions to get the results that I desire.
My
And when
goodness.
I move emotionally, I usually don't have the broadest perspective because my feelings can deceive me. And I try to tell people that your emotions are like alarms, like a
Mhm.
smoke detector. Like you don't just run out the house when you hear the smoke detector, you go
Right.
check. And I think when we feel something, that's what we need to do. We need to go check to see for smoke or fire to make sure we're not
Mm.
just running out the house, right? And,
Mhm.
and reacting.
Mhm. Yes. Yes.
So
Oh,
anyway, I,
oh, that's so good. Very like you understand. You do not understand. That is
thank
good.
you.
I just want to say this. I had a conversation earlier this week with who did we have on? Kareem, Dr. Kareem Ellis. And I was telling him one of the questions that kind of came up as I was talking to him was, here we are, you're a breakthrough strategist, but what do you do when you need a breakthrough? You're a motivational speaker, but what do you do when you need to be motivated? And you just essentially answered that question just now, just with just the perspective and all the different things, the principles. And you just, I don't even have to ask you that because you answered it. I'm so
I listen to
grateful.
your dad.
Yes, clearly. He's
So
good. I'm
I,
not biased either. I think he's the best speaker ever.
he
I really do.
is, and
But
and
it's evident.
authentically
But
he is. He
but
is.
one thing that he's about is legacy and understanding that the gifts and talents that he has, the when he says you have greatness within you, greatness is really the great giftings that God has given you that you can pour out to other people, which also will inspire them to pour out their gifts and talents to other people. And we're all to be light in this earth. And you are a light, Barry. You are shining so brightly, so
Thank you.
brightly. And I want to tell you just to keep shining, keep shining, keep shining, keep speaking, keep motivating, keep making people laugh. Everything that you are instructed in your heart to do, go for it, because there's so much that you have in this world to offer, and so many people are blessed by you being here, and I'm blessed. Just this, I'm so grateful that we had this conversation. I'm fired up. I get when my dad does interviews sometimes and he's like, he'll end it, he'll be like, baby, I'm fired up. Like he just started. I'm like, okay, like weirdo, but he's not weird. You know what I mean? I get it now because you meet people and something inside of you says, yes, like that's it. And you connect to that. And
That's
I
it.
know that
Yes.
people feel that when they hear you. So just keep doing what you're doing. And
Thank
again, I
you.
cannot tell you how honored I am to have you on Sumaya Unveiled. Where can people, if they want to hear more from you, if they
Thank you.
want to tap into all the amazing things that you're doing, where can they go to check you out? I
Thank
want
you.
everything, hold nothing back.
Thank you so much. First of
You're
all, I am
welcome.
so honored to be here. They can find me on all social media platforms. My name is Barry Brewer Jr. Barry Brewer, Brewer, and Jr. As in Junior. Barry Brewer Jr. on all social media on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, Twitter, all of those places. And my website is iambarrybrewer.com. Iambarrybrewer.com. So that's my website. And I have a movie that I released my directorial debut. It's a
Mm,
movie, a thriller that's on Tubi called Left on Red, The Color Red, Left
mm,
on Red. Would love for people to go and check it out on Tubi. Tubi is a free streaming platform, so you
mhm.
can check it out for free. You can support me for free. We would greatly,
Awesome.
and you would enjoy it for free, I believe. So
I love
go check
free.
that out. so and my my stand-up special is still out. Chicago, I'm home on Prime, and I'm
Mhm.
releasing my new stand-up special that I filmed last year called Almost Jaded. So stay tuned for that.
Awesome. And I love how you just say it casually on Prime, like you just sneezed or something. That's a really big deal as well. Tubi and Prime are awesome. So
Oh,
you're
thank
super humble. Again, that's who you are. It's not a put on. It's not an act. Thank you for being here, for being on purpose, in purpose, moving and walking in your God ordained purpose. You're awesome. Keep shining, Barry. And thank you for being on Sumaya Unveiled again.
you. So, yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you. And thank you for watching Sumaya Unveiled. We'll see you next time.